Good evening, Cambridge. I am Ashton Lewis, student in ACE Level Media Studies and co founder of Pure Evil Entertainment. I'm the cinematographer, director, and actor for the movie The Smiling, and this is my creative critical reflection. The Smiling, simplified, is a horror slash comedy created by me, Ezra, Eric, and Tejan, where it leads a comedian that has mixed and abnormal personalities due to demon possession, and he is now cursed to feed on joy from others to prevent the demon from inside of him from killing people. These are the contents that illustrate the questions that I'll be answering in this critical reflection. The first one says, how does your product use or challenge conventions? And how does it prevent social groups or issues? The second is, how does your project engage with audiences and how would it be distributed as a real media text? The third one is, how did your production skills develop throughout the project? And the fourth one is, how did you integrate technologies like software or hardware in this project? Question one, how does your product use or challenge conventions? And how does it represent social groups or issues? Before assessing the actual question, I would like to go over the key information about the movie. The film consists of four people: the production manager, me, the director, Ezra, the film writer, me, the cinematographer, Eric, the production designer, Eric, the casting director, Ezra, wardrobe and makeup artist, Tejan, camera operator, Eric and Ezra, editor, me, screenwriter, Tejan. Casting for The Smiling had three major people. Me as the comedian, Eric as the victim child, as that you see in the middle of the movie, and Tejan as the victim teen, as you see in the middle of the movie. Now we are describing the cast. Me as Ashton is the comedian, a good and funny person that is corrupt due to being possessed by a laughing demon, which we call Thomas, and goes through a physical and mental trauma and even killing people to keep the demon at bay by making people laugh. The thing that he loved the most was turned into his mainly prison. And for Eric, he was the little boy that got murdered at the beginning of the movie. He was a friend of the comedian and always came to his shows and was very nice and kind and innocent boy. So the boy had a bad day and didn't laugh at his jokes. Eventually, fell to the hands of him. Tejan was the first victim of the demon. He doesn't really have a lot of screen time, but we see him after his death and a little bit before his death, and he is just an unlucky person that fell to the hands of the demon. Now we are going to move on to the conventions used in the movie that we made. The conventions that we used was first the company logo, which can be seen at the beginning of the movie title, which can be seen at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the opening of the movie, and the establishing shot, which shows where all of this is going to take place. Now we're going to look at the mise en scène elements that was used in the movie. One of the mise en scène elements that we used was setting and acting, and certain evidence of setting and acting can be seen with me smiling in the top and right of the pictures, and acting can be seen throughout the movie. A part of the mise en scène elements, the sound that we used inside the movie was intense sounds of audio, which I edited, that showed intensity and increasing. I increased the volume to make it higher and higher. Then it just cuts off. So it shows the intensity and the fact that this is a horror film. And as for editing, there because it's a horror film, we have cross cutting cuts, fading into like in and out of frame, fading into white, fading into black, all the elements that you would normally see in a horror movie. Moving on to question two. How does your product engage with audiences and how would it be distributed as a media text? First, let's look at the demographics of the movie. This movie was made by teens, um, and the target audience is for teenagers and young adults. The economic group is middle class because it is shown that this takes place in a middle class type of economic area. The stereotypes that you could see inside the movie are of an innocent child and just a regular nice guy in just those regular movies. Most, if not all, the lighting that we used were natural lighting from the sun. As you can see in the left example, we've seen the rays of light hitting my face in the movie. And in the top right, you see we're in a field during the daytime. Most of the movie takes place in the daytime. And in the bottom, you can see me waking up in the morning. The type of camera movement that we used was zoom in. An example is in the beginning of the movie when the kid looks into the bushes, it zooms in to show the character. We used tilt in a way that showed the entire scenery to show what the characters were doing at the time in the top right. And tracking shot, we used that tracking the boy running and the comedian walking inside his house. And we used pan up to show the killer as well in the movie. The theme that invokes interest in this kind of audience is imprisonment and mental illness. Now we're going to talk about how we're going to distribute this film. How we're going to distribute nationally is first it'll be open in theaters to get the general audience coming, and then after a month or two, we're going to open up to streaming apps like Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max, etc. to open to more people and more audience. As for how we're going to distribute this internationally, we're going to open it up to North America, South America, Asia, and Europe. Consumption is very important for a film, so we're going to open up our film to almost all technological streaming services like TVs, laptops, phones, tablets, etc. Now we are looking at question three. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? One of the skills that I learned while doing this movie was research and analysis, and I analyzed all of these other movies that I took inspiration of. Smile, Jeffrey Dahmer story, It, and The Shining. All these movies and shows gave me inspiration, and you can see inside of the movie the certain hints and like certain things that I took from these movies and was inspired and created a twist on it. Another skill that I learned while doing this movie was editing. Sound effects, cutting, basic filmmaking, spacing, fading, etc. These are the things that I used to make the movie, and these are the things that I learned while doing the movie, making it. One of the skills that the team learned while doing this movie was basic skills with the camera, movement, lighting, timing, etc. We used these skills to record the movie as it was taking place, and as you can see on the picture, the lead photographer was as he was able to use all of these accordingly. One skill that I learned was directing because I was able to direct and be able to elaborate how the story was going to go to my fellow teammates, and I was basically able to just carry on with the story, um, and I was the visionary for the storyline. Other skills that I learned while doing this movie was writing, time tracking, cinematography, and presentation and design. The designing platforms and software used to make this movie were PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, and iMovie. Moving on to the final question: how did you integrate technologies like software, hardware, and online in this project? There are two types of technologies that I used: hardware and software, which I will be discussing in individual slides. The hardware that I used on this movie were stuff like MacBook, iPhone iOS 16, which you can see in the top picture, the MacBook, which you can see in the bottom picture, and the HP computer, which you can see in the middle picture. The types of software that I used was Microsoft Word for writing the script, PowerPoint for making this presentation, and numerous presentations to represent my movie, iMovie to edit the movie, WeVideo to publish the movie and edit the movie, and Blogger take blogs based off of the movie and creating it, and so on. In conclusion, the smiling was a challenging and fun experience, and I would most definitely try it again. I gained a deeper understanding of film, and I didn't even realize how complex making a film really was until I did this assignment. And you really gain a lot more knowledge on certain things you didn't know before, like editing, like cinematography, like photography, etc., understanding lighting and all that. You gain more knowledge and you could use that knowledge for careers in the future, like for instance becoming a director. I most definitely will use the skills that I used in making this movie in future cinematography that I will create in the future. This is Ashton Lewis, and I thank you, Cambridge, for your time. This is my critical reflection.